Want to start recording? So we'll call to order the Summit Waller Community Association Board of Directors meeting for Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. It's almost 4th of July and it might as well be Christmas. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun spring. All right. Well, let's go ahead and welcome our two guests, Letticia Neal and Sabrina. And I'm going to butcher your last name, Sabrina. How do you pronounce your last name?
Chandelier like chandelier.
Very nice. All right. Okay. Well, welcome, Letticia and Sabrina. We're happy to have you here tonight. Agenda item number 2, we have reading and approval of Board of Meeting minutes from January and February. Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January and February?
I move.
Second.
All right. It's moved by Dan and seconded by Megan. Any discussion? Any questions about the meeting minutes? Okay. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
So, all right. So it passes. Thank you. Moving on to officer reports and correspondence, treasurer's report from February. I don't recall seeing that in my email. Did anyone else see that? Okay,
No.
so we will, okay, we'll move past that. Gabe, any website or social media updates for good of the order?
Nothing significant, but I'm going to go over some stuff after the meeting. It's just kind of meeting related. So if we could stick around after we're done, just to talk about some of the YouTube video and duration and stuff like that. But otherwise, nothing to mention.
Okay, we're still fending off the scammers and the fake accounts.
Yeah.
A full-time job, it feels like some weeks. All right, well, that moves us into all things Canyon Road. We had Letticia Neal from the Office of the County Engineer, which is housed in our Pierce County's Planning and Public Works Department. And Letticia, I kind of prepped you beforehand. We had a lot of conversations in previous meetings about what about this on Canyon Road? What about that on Canyon Road? What about this segment? What about the interchange with SR 512? And so I thought we'd invite you here to give us some updates, if you had any, for kind of all things Canyon Road from 512 all the way to the river, which I know is a lot to cover. But go ahead and if you want to lead the conversation, feel free to. I'm sure we'll have plenty of questions for you as you get into your updates.
I will do my best. I'm going to try to share my screen now. Well, I need to be authorized to do so.
You should be able to now.
Aha, here we go. Let's see. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So thank you for inviting me here today. It's been a long time, what with COVID and everything in the middle, since I was with this group. So I've put together just a buffet of information, most of which I've given to various meetings with council committees, the Transportation Advisory Commission and the likes, hitting a whole bunch of stuff on Canyon. I'm going to go through these really quickly because we could spend a very long time and I'd rather answer your specific questions. So we'll just get started with the Canyon Road Regional Connection Project. You're all very familiar with that. This is a legacy project from the 1990s originally, and we are at the last piece of the expansion of Canyon Road. And the connection project will make that last missing link between the current end of Canyon Road all the way over into the city of Fife. As you know, Pierce County is growing at a tremendous rate and is expected to continue to do so. More people mean more cars. More people also mean more freight and more truck traffic. And this constant growth needs to have the infrastructure to support it. So that's the idea behind the Regional Connection Project. Some of the key updates I want to tell you about tonight is the analysis of floodplain effects that we're doing right now and updating 100-year flood maps in the area of the Puyallup River that may have an impact on our design. And also the additional analysis that council requested we do via resolution 2022-141, which asked us to look at economic analysis, benefit cost updates, equity, alternatives to Canyon Road. So I'm going to touch on all of those things for you tonight. Again, very high level, very quickly. This shows the current project design, 2 projects, independent but intended to be constructed together. 5643 extends Canyon Road from its current terminus with Pioneer Avenue across the valley, across the railroad tracks, and merges into 52nd Street East. That's represented in blue. In yellow on the screen is CRP, County Road Project 5498, which continue those improvements east on 52nd Street to 66th, and then crosses through and to the north to a new bridge over the Puyallup River, touching down in 70th Avenue East in the city of Fife. That's what's currently designed. That's what's been on the books for a number of years that we've been proceeding toward, making progress. And then Council Resolution 2022-141 came up. That was passed in 2022, as the number suggests. It was directed on 2 fronts. The first was that the comprehensive plan periodic update, which we're in the middle of right now, examines some transportation alternatives, including alternatives to the Canyon Road project. And then for the project itself, that we complete a benefit cost analysis and economic analysis, look at project impacts, freight impacts, and what the truck traffic looks like in Frederickson. Obviously, a lot of questions. This happens whenever you have a legacy project. The people who first thought of this project and supported it and were the brainstorms behind it are long since gone. We have new council members who aren't as familiar with it, don't know if they support it 100%, aren't really sure what the purpose is. And so all this is feeding into an educational phase with the council. So the comp plan is looking at 3 alternatives. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the update that's currently underway. The first alternative, as always, is a no action. We don't make any changes. We keep things going the way they have been for the last several years. Then alternative 2 is referred to as the centers and corridors alternative, or a bend the trend. We're going to continue the same path we've been on for a while, but we're going to make some tweaks to make it a little bit better, align with some regional objectives, try and accommodate climate change and things of that nature. Alternative 3, high capacity transit, is an end the trend. We're going to completely go in a different direction. We're going to focus on how we can address our high rate of growth, focus on transit, focus on non-motorized modes of transportation. And this would include not building the Canyon Road Regional Connection Project as it's currently envisioned. So just to take a closer look at those 2 alternatives that are not the do nothing. Centers and corridors will be looking at transit certainly is going to be a focus, but so would pedestrian and bike facilities. It would also allow expansion of rural roads to respond to our higher and higher traffic volumes. Alternative 3, the high capacity transit option, would be focused almost exclusively on non-motorized transportation. It would be looking at building out trails, building out sidewalks, pedestrian facilities, and the Canyon Road Northerly Extension Project would not be funded except for replacing the Milroy Bridge. That would be the only piece of the project that would be funded. This comp plan update is underway. I believe this month they will be taking these 3 alternatives and all the analysis behind them to the Planning Commission. And in about the May timeframe, we're expected for council to identify the preferred alternative. And we are waiting for that with bated breath, because this could very well dictate what the future of our canyon corridor looks like, whether we're going to continue building out, moving north, making that last final connection, or whether we put our focus elsewhere on other priorities. So back to Canyon Road, these are the additional analyses that we were asked to do. I'm going to go through these really quickly, so just bear with me here. The first one, and perhaps the most interesting to think about, is what are the options to the Canyon Road project like we have designed it so far? We looked at 5 different alternatives from these different criteria. Not doing canyon except replacing the Milroy Bridge. What does that mean exactly? Well, alternative one we looked at was just really taking it literally. Okay, we replace the Milroy Bridge where it is with another structure that has 1 lane in each direction, just like is currently there. We looked at it from a cost standpoint, constructability, agricultural community, likely responsiveness, tribal community environment, freight mobility, congestion, and the like. One note here, the little tiny star on tribal community, I want to be very clear that these were not discussed with the tribal community. This is our best guess at what response we would get to these ideas. So this is not actually coming from the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. Alternative 2 would be to replace the Milroy Bridge in place with an expanded bridge that could handle more traffic, 4 lanes, 2 in each direction. Alternative 3 would be to put a replacement bridge where we're currently planning to put one at 70th Avenue, but this would just be a small little bridge, 1 lane in each direction, just like the Milroy Bridge currently. Alternative 4, again, 70th Avenue, 2 lanes in each direction, a bridge there. And alternative 5 would be to do the full span bridge, just like we've envisioned doing, but not do the rest of the project improvements. None of them are great options. When we start looking at how this is going to impact communities, the environmental impacts, is it going to solve congestion? We keep coming back to alternative 0, our current project full build out. That's the only one that actually holds up well under these criteria. But this is what we were asked to do for the council. We also did a benefit cost analysis, an equity analysis, and an economic impact analysis. I'm not going to go into all of these details. This is getting way too deep for you, but looking at the scenarios for not building the project and building the project, the numbers speak for themselves. The traffic volumes are continue going up, whether we build the project or not. More people move into the area. Traffic is going to be there, and it's going to increase until it can't increase anymore. Doing the build scenario would allow that same volume of traffic or even more traffic to smoothly flow through the area and not be in gridlock. That's what the numbers will tell you. From a freight standpoint, the distance is also very obvious to see. Our Canyon Road route is about 13 miles straight shot up into the Port of Tacoma. The other 2 options that currently exist are longer, more congested, and frankly, if you've ever been on those routes when there's been a collision of some kind, quite a nightmare when things aren't flowing smoothly. Project impacts. This feeds into the benefit cost analysis. You start looking at the hours that people spend on the road in their vehicles, the number of fatalities and injuries that occur in these different scenarios. You start looking at the air quality that occur in these different scenarios. This all feeds into a benefit cost analysis for the project. The freight has an impact as well when you start looking at vehicle miles traveled. The fewer vehicle miles traveled, the more savings you have in time in paying for drivers and trucks, and that reflects in savings for the region as a whole. So to cut to the chase, our benefit cost analysis resulted in a ratio of 1.82. Anything over 1 is great. That tells you that the benefits are going to outweigh the cost. And these are some of the factors that go into a benefit cost ratio, everything from air quality to quality of life, reducing accidents, the number of miles traveled on freight, how much time people are spending on the road sitting in the traffic. So that all feeds into your benefit cost ratio. Most of the improvement, most of the value in the benefit cost ratio comes from travel time savings. You can see that is the top line in the total benefits and has the highest dollar value associated with this. All of these numbers come from the federal government. They have a very elaborate and very extensive book that you must follow where they have allocated a certain dollar amount to all of these things. And some of it seems a little strange. How can you put a dollar value to something like, I don't know, resiliency or safety benefits? But it's a standardized thing. Everybody uses the same numbers, so we're all comparing apples to apples. So using their methodology, travel time savings is where we see the most benefit. You start looking at economic impacts. Completing the corridor means more jobs. It means more labor income, means more business output. These are all really good things for our regional economy. We also looked at council direction at different cases. What if we just built the railroad crossing? What if we just built the river crossing? What would those benefit cost analysis look like? The bridge over the Puyallup River, doing only that portion of the project, does have a good benefit cost ratio of 1.33. It doesn't have as much as the full build out scenario because it is a standalone separate link that's missing that connection to the rest of the corridor. So you're not seeing the total amount of savings that you do if you complete the entire corridor. Again, this was asked by council that we look at this, so we did so and provided them with this information. The economic impacts were looked at were everything from agricultural impacts to manufacturing, vehicles, taxes for fiscal impacts. The economic impact analysis looked at a wide variety of factors. Our equity analysis also looked at what our more vulnerable communities in the area would be experiencing with this project coming through and assessing the impacts on them and what kind of mitigation would need to happen to limit that impact. It looks at a 10-mile area around the project, which seems really large, but again, this is dictated by the federal government. They want everybody to be using the same factors so they compare apples to apples very easily. So this is the area that we're looking at. It definitely includes the Summit Waller area and well beyond there. The analysis found that the Regional Connection Project improved access, especially to our vulnerable communities. It reduced traffic volumes for those same communities. It did increase traffic volumes for a minority of the communities, especially those directly adjacent to the project site, which is what you would expect. There's be a lot of traffic being funneled through this particular corridor, but less traffic on the accessory corridors that currently see a lot of people trying to make their way through this area. If you are one of those people that really wants to dig into the details and get into the nitty-gritty of these analyses that I'm not going into tonight, they are all posted here on our webpage. This is canyonroadconnection.org. It is under let's see if I can move me out of the way. It's under the Stay Connected tab on the right-hand side. At the bottom of the page are all of these analyses that I just skimmed over with you tonight. Feel free to dig into them. I'm happy to answer specific questions that you have, but I will be the first to admit that I'm not an economist. So some of it is a little challenging for me to understand as well. So moving on, answering some more questions that have come up recently from council. Frederickson's built out. Why are we even focusing there? Well, Frederickson is not built out. You start looking at what's there, the amount of acreage, the amount of jobs. There is still a lot of additional development that can occur and a lot of additional employment that is projected in that area. So we still have a driving reason for doing improvements along the Canyon Road corridor. A lot of questions about the rail service. Historically, it was Tacoma Rail serving this area, but the current owner is now Rainier Rail. And it serves the Frederickson area and does have routes up into the port. So I'm not entirely sure why council was interested in that, but we provided them with that information. Funding opportunities abound. You're all tied in with the news, I'm sure. The Bipartisan Act created a lot of funding opportunities for a lot of different projects. This project is considered a very competitive project in a number of these programs. It's been a top scoring project in existing programs and is projected to score very high in some of these newer programs that came out. So there's definitely funding opportunities out there if we are told to proceed with this project. Now, about the time that we finished all of these analyses for council, we had to pause the project. We paused design and environmental assessment work to deal with this issue of the floodplain. So basically, the data that we have in the FEMA flood maps are not exactly current. And they certainly don't reflect the types of storms and the amount of flooding that we've seen in recent years in the area that the project is going through. So we wanted to align this project with what we're seeing currently to make sure that we're building something that's going to be resilient and workable into the future. We certainly don't want to be in a situation where 10 years from now, we're having to rebuild a bunch of infrastructure because we didn't plan on the amount of flooding that we're starting to see more and more in the Puyallup River Valley. So we're in the process of doing this analysis. Everything's been put on hold until we have those results. We're expecting the results in the next month and a half. We'll then use those results and apply it to our current design and see what modifications we need to make to our current design to withstand the type of flooding that we're starting to see in this area and that we're modeling to proceed into the future. We'll make those adjustments and then we'll resume our final design, environmental assessment, and buying the property we need for the project later this year. The project timeline has been delayed though because we've had to put this on hold. The floodplain mapping and analysis started last year. We'll be reevaluating our bridge design later this year, and environmental permitting and property acquisition will resume in 2025. That will take approximately 2 years to complete. So we're now looking at a planned construction start of 2027 for this project. Couple other projects on Canyon Road that may be of interest. We have CRP 5903, which would be improving Canyon Road from 72nd Street down the hill to where our Canyon Road Regional Connection project starts. This project does have federal funding in it already in the design phase. Again, Canyon Road seems to score very well when we apply for grant funding. We have a consultant under contract. They're just about ready to start doing design. This will be adding lanes, particularly going up that hill with the big trucks that come out of the Miles sand and gravel pit there. This will really help traffic flow in this area. It's connecting into 72nd Street East, which is the end of a current project that's under construction. You probably all know about that because you live in the area. 5736. If you're interested, the contractor will be resuming work on that project around March 18th and is expected to be completed in the middle of May. A project that's been on your radar for a while is 5735. This is the Canyon Road East project, essentially north of 512 up to 96th Street. This project, unfortunately, barely got off the ground in late 2018-19. And then in 2020, right when the pandemic hit, a number of projects were pulled off of our transportation improvement plan and put on the unfunded list, which is where this project has languished for the last several years. It obviously is a needed piece to complete the corridor, but it's looking at the corridor from a non-motorized standpoint more than motorized, in that the corridor is already widened through here. So this project would be making improvements to adding in turn lanes where necessary, making adjustments to signals, those types of things, lighting. But the big improvement that people will see and that council is focusing on is the pedestrian improvements. So I think, and this is my personal opinion, either way the comp plan update decision goes, whether they pick alternative 1, 2, or 3, I think this project is going to get pulled off the unfunded list in the next few years and will be given the funding to go ahead and build it out. Our council is just very, very interested in completing non-motorized pedestrian type facilities. And this will obviously be a gap in a very important corridor. And finally, we have under construction way, way, way south of you, 5764, referred to as Canyon Southerly. This extends Canyon Road south from 200th to 208th. This was a brand new piece of roadway. It was originally intended to go much further south, but was limited a few years ago by our Public Works Director to end at the urban growth boundary. This project is currently under construction and will be so through this summer, hopefully be wrapping up in the fall of 2024. So it's a lot to take in I think about 20 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes. So that's the information that I brought for you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm happy to bring up any slides if you want to see them again and dig into details. Hopefully it was information that you were looking for.
Go ahead, Gabe, you've got your hand up.
Hi, yes. So thank you for coming and talking about this. We've had a few questions about that. Knowing more about this is really helpful. I don't know if this is part of the project or part of the plan. Do you know of any end connections after 70th Street with the interaction of the expansion into Fife connected to the new 167 expansion, or is it going to be separate and a different route into the port?
No, this is a good connection point. This project is considered a nexus project to the SR 167 connection. Fife has invested a lot of money already in 70th Avenue in preparation for us connecting in. They have widened it, put in all these, improvements, and they are going to continue doing so. A lot of people have pointed out the railroad crossing just a little bit further north on 70th Avenue as being a bit of a choke point. Fife is moving forward with plans to do that as soon as our project gets a little further along and closer to being constructed. It's unfortunately the nature of grant funding that you have a harder time getting funding for projects if they're seen as being too far out. And so you need some impetus, some reason to be asking for the money. And FIFA is going to be relying on our project being close to being constructed. And then they can tell the story of this new increase in traffic volumes coming straight into Fife on 70th Avenue to generate a very competitive application for funding that will help them do those improvements further north, connecting into the SR 167 corridor. So that will be forthcoming. It will be part of our project. It will be a City of Fife project, but we'll certainly be supporting them however we can.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have a question. What caused you to reevaluate the floodplain issue? What was the impetus of that?
It was two parts, actually. One was some recent changes in Pierce County Code, which asks us to ensure that we are meeting zero rise. That essentially means that we need to make sure that none of our improvements in areas of floodplains, areas with water, none of our improvements cause that water to go up in extreme storm situations. We need to have zero impact on what's currently occurring in those areas. But as we started looking at that, we started realizing that the data in the flood maps that we would use as the basis of that analysis was very, very old. And our surface water management team was concerned that what we are seeing in the last 5 to 10 years in the Puyallup River area, the Puyallup River Basin, was not matching any of that old data. The storms had become more severe, or the flooding had become more severe, depending how you looked at it. So with the need to look at zero rise, a zero rise impact from our project, and our surface water management team's concerns about the data being too old to really be valid and accurate, and our need to make sure that we're building a resilient project. I mean, this is a $300 million project. It's not something that we want to take lightly and build something that isn't going to last a long time. We decided it made sense to put the project on hold for a year and go ahead and do this analysis.
In a nutshell, do the farmers adjacent to the project, that'd be Pika, and I believe, what's the other fellow?
Storino?
Do they have any remaining concerns down there?
I haven't spoken to either of them recently. I'm sure that they still have concerns because the project is still planned to go through that area and is still planned to, widen the roadway, and projects have impacts to the adjacent property owners. There's no way that we can avoid that. I've tried to alleviate their concerns. We spent a lot of time and effort over a couple of years before COVID and into the first part of the pandemic, working with the agricultural community, having workshops with them to talk about what things we could change on the project that would relieve some of their concerns, mitigate some of the issues that they're seeing. And we've incorporated what we can in terms of, for example, they were concerned about the lighting. They want it to remain a very rural area. They didn't want it to be this, urban corridor, airplane strip kind of thing. So we've designed the lighting, much lower lighting with shields on them, much lower level than you see in an urban environment, to make sure that we've responded to that. So things like that we've taken into account. Have we dealt with all of their concerns? I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
How about the Puyallup tribe, their concerns?
The Puyallup tribe, we are still working with currently. We've tried to address their concerns as best we can, dealing with Chief Leschi School, for example. We've added a traffic signal at the entrance to the school to address one of their big concerns there. We're also working with them to get the appropriate permitting to ensure that we're not adversely affecting their fishing rights and the health of the fish that are in the Puyallup River, making sure that we're improving the environment. That is an ongoing conversation that we're still in the middle of.
My last question. A lot of this money coming down is from the federal government.
Yes.
Does a change in federal administration, one way or the other, cause a disruption in the funding?
Not really. The funding, if it is awarded, stays in place. The things that may change are that programs can be supplemented or decreased with funding for future funding. So for example, if I am hoping to get money out of program X in 2027, that program may not exist in 2027. But the money that I've been granted now that I can spend the next few years, that money is granted and remains at Pierce County's hands. So it has an effect, but not an effect on the money we've already been awarded. Whether or not we've spent it or not, it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Letticia, would it be possible if you sent the PowerPoint presentation to us, just so we
Yeah,
have it, because you
absolutely.
went through there was a lot in there.
I know there was a lot.
yeah. You can
I
just
wasn't
send
sure what your interest was, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
cut anything out.
No, you can just send it to me and then I'll forward it to the rest of the board.
I would be happy to.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Larry.
I have a question about the construction that's going on between 84th and
Mhm.
72nd. When can we expect the last layer of asphalt to be laid, the lights turned on, and the intersection at 72nd and Canyon finished?
Well, as I said, the contractor's current schedule has them resuming work around March 18th, and they're projected to be done in mid-May. If weather holds well, I think you'll see the final lift of asphalt going on in the next month. It's all weather dependent, of course, this early in the year. We get some snow or something like that that's going to put everything on a stop. But everything should be wrapped up, all pieces that you're talking about done in mid-May, according to the contractor's schedule.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. One of my concerns I see very little interest or effort in remedying the traffic tie-ups at the 104th and freeway overpass. You're not saying that my understanding that you're not going to increase the road north of the bridge at 512 only to make pedestrian access a little easier?
That will not be adding additional through lanes of traffic. It's already has 2 lanes in each direction through there.
And
So
it's a bottleneck.
it is a bottleneck, yes.
And you haven't had any conversations with the state in what can be done to improve it. Another thing, Milroy Bridge. How
Mhm.
long does it take a commuter to get across that bridge night after night after night?
Mhm.
At least 20 minutes. You're gonna move all of that traffic up to the 512 freeway overpass that already has got a 10-minute travel time from prior to 104th. I live at 116th. You go up to 104th and they're backed up to our driveway already. So you're gonna double the amount of traffic coming. Milroy needs to go to 70th as a 4-laner, period.
Agreed.
And if you
Agreed.
don't do anything, you're wasting our money even thinking about going any further than what you've already done. That's my opinion. And I think I speak for a lot of people that live in this neighborhood.
I
Your
happen to
comments,
agree with
please.
you. I happen to agree with you.
Okay,
Unfortunately, you
what's
and I
gonna-
don't make
How are you
those
gonna resolve
decisions.
it?
You and I don't make those decisions. Those are being made by your county council members. They are
Okay,
the driving factors behind all of these alternatives that we've been looking
Yeah.
at and potential changes to the project.
all right. No, I'm not getting at you particular. It's just
okay.
really frustrating to sit here as a neighborhood person and Sabrina, are you making notes on what I just made on this comment that you can take back?
Yes, verbatim.
I have a
I understand the frustration. I know a lot of people share that frustration. I know some council members are frustrated too. We have some that really support the project and want to see it happen, and we have others who aren't too sure about it. This is the nature of our political climate that when questions are asked, projects are put on hold. I'm just very thankful they didn't cut the project completely and shelve it. They're telling us to pause and do some additional analyses. Okay, we can do that. It means the project still is alive and still has a chance of going ahead and moving forward.
I have a follow-up to Don's comment. His concerns were about constricting the velocity of traffic by having too narrow of roads, I take. Another concern that's related to that is the land use that would be along Canyon Road between 72nd and 104th. It's now rural on each side with a couple little nodes here and there for rural neighborhood centers. Is there a understanding, or is the staff and is the county aware that if they clog it up like they do Meridian, it's going to even amplify the concerns of Don that he just mentioned regarding the backing up of traffic? If it's a corridor, let's make it a corridor for trucks and cars and for people to move south to north and not for people to shop at a strip mall. Is that something the county understands?
I think there are some people at the county that do, but gosh, I hate saying this again. Zoning is set by your county council members, and they have the authority to change the zoning to be something other than what it is or something other than what you think that it should be.
No, I
I
understand.
can't really speak to that. I'm not a planner. I don't deal with zoning, but
I understand that. And we're zone out here rural on both sides. That's not a concern. I would like to leave you with the strong message that whatever you could do in your department, that you need to make sure that this entire project, to remain viable, usable, and efficient, doesn't need to get clogged up like Meridian. I mean, as a planner, I think you need to carry that message forward, Because if you build this beautiful 4-lane highway and then turn it into a meridian, you know, what's the point?
I understand.
So please take that message forward, if you would. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Megan, you got your hand up?
Sorry, it's always the, do I lower my hand or unmute myself first? So my question is, Sabrina, can you speak to Marty's positioning on any of this?
No, but I
Okay.
can say that you're concerned on, X, Y, and Z, unless he's voted on it in the past. I can't speak on behalf of his beliefs or which way he's voting on
Okay.
either, any kind of those political notes, but I can continue to raise, your concerns. So continue sending them my way.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate you taking that on. I just didn't know if there was any historical data on any of this that you could give us as far as where Marty was sitting.
I mean,
Go
I
ahead,
think,
Don.
so,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sabrina. Go ahead and finish your response.
I think he's very skeptical, as he's noted in a lot of public meetings. Even with Ms. Neal as a presenter, had a lot of follow-up questions that are similar to the concerns that you all raised, especially, being impacted by the rural corridor and more traffic as more people come in. What is the best solution and, a feasible way to maintain ruralness and especially local businesses that are viable from this rural land? That's my position, that's his position that he stated in the past.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think it's important for our community to hear that. That's why I'm asking.
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I think the numbers that you've stated on vehicle movement does not reflect reality. I think they're far too low. Has the county done a study on the number of truck parking bays or even the number of trucks? I did a quick look at Google Maps and counting dock spaces. And if they all left at one time, you would have a train 50 miles long. You got that many truck and trailer facilities, and they keep on building them more and more. And you're too blocking by not addressing from the freeway south. It's immaterial what you're doing if you can't take care of where it's originating.
To my knowledge, I don't believe the county has done a study of truck docking locations. We do have truck counts that are on the roadways currently, and that's part of the data that's put into traffic modeling that is used to look at what our roads are likely to look like in 20, 30, 40 years with continued growth and continued increase in traffic volumes and freight truck traffic. Those are the numbers that our traffic department tracks very closely and plugs into a very complicated advanced traffic model to try to see into the future a little bit. The crystal ball isn't always perfectly clear. It is a model. Models do have errors. Human behavior is very difficult to predict, but that is the data that we have to go by.
One short question. The cross base access was kiboshed. June, what is the formal reason they gave for that?
WashDOT's attentions and priorities were focused elsewhere. They've been putting the majority of their focus on other projects like the SR 167 expansion, the gateway projects going into our ports. That's been their focus. Cross-Base Highway was originally a Pierce County project. It was turned into a WashDOT project a number of years ago, and WashDOT just simply has not made it their priority.
And there's no chance of that being resurrected?
I don't know if there is or not. I know there's a number of people who are still very interested in that and think that could be a very good solution to an east-west connection through and around the base. But whether or not anybody would have the pull to bring it back to life, I'm not entirely sure. It still lingers on our transportation improvement plan as a possibility, and we still hold property that we purchased as part of the preparation for that construction project happening. So the pieces are still there. A lot of the work would have to be redone, but it's still possible.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to keep us moving along since we've spent a long time on Canyon Road. We'll be getting the presentation from Letticia. If we have other questions, Letticia has offered to answer those for us. So if we want you to come back for another meeting, maybe if we have a lot of questions, we can do that. But I want to move on to actually agenda item 4E, which is more closely related to 64th and Waller, and the Swan Creek crossing has come up several times in discussion in this group in particular, and I see it's on the agenda. I don't know what Jen had in mind when she set the agenda, but Letticia, I've, with my Pierce County Surface Water Management hat on, I've given my feedback. I've tried to give some feedback or insight as to what the county is thinking in terms of that culvert crossing from a surface water management perspective. But I don't know if you maybe had any from the Office of the County Engineer or roads perspective and kind of how that relates to the tip, if it's on there at all, and kind of what your involvement has been from that perspective. So I figured people might have some questions about that too.
I don't have nearly as much information about that as I wish that I did, honestly. We do not have a project currently shown on the tip or in the works for that particular location. It has been looked at a number of times in the past as a fish barrier project needing to replace the culvert. We did do some very, very rough level cost estimating. It was an extremely expensive project. But it really, the Office of the County Engineer has to use county road funds, and county road funds are tied to fuel tax. So we have to have a very clear nexus to a roadway issue to be able to spend those funds. And there is not a significant roadway issue at that location. There's a culvert problem. There is a flooding problem. That's for sure. There's a fish barrier problem, but none of those things say roads. So the Office of the County Engineer chose to set that project aside and hope that some of our other departments like Surface Water Management would pick up that particular torch and be able to move forward with it. I do know that it is a project of some interest to the Puyallup tribe. So there may be a possibility of a partnered project with them in the future. But right now, this instant, we do not have a project in that area, and I don't foresee that changing in the near future.
I know Councilmember Campbell has talked about potentially partnering or trying to figure out how to partner or collaborate with the city of Tacoma. And they're improving the 64th Street corridor. Granted, they're only going up to, I think, Portland Avenue right now, but then they have that last stretch between Portland and Waller, and potentially kind of marrying up the county piece and the city piece to kind of meet there near just past Swan Creek.
That certainly could put it on the county engineer radar. If it was a completion of a corridor that the other jurisdiction invested some money in to go ahead and finish a connection, that could make it a reality for our transportation improvement program. So if Tacoma were to start doing work there and really see some momentum happening, that might be the nudge this project has to have.
But you'd be touching that culvert per se, which means
Oh,
we'd
yes.
be you'd have to be working with surface water management
Oh,
then to
yes,
solve that issue at this, simultaneously. So, okay.
definitely, yes.
Mhm. Yeah, I
It
know
would
there
be
was some,
a large project.
yeah. So could you maybe tell us a little bit more about the Safe Routes to Schools
Mhm.
program? Because I know that Waller Road Elementary isn't really a safe route to school. Being on
It is
Waller and
not.
64th. Is that on your transportation improvement plan at all? Or could you just maybe tell us maybe a little bit more about safe routes to school and what areas are of a focus
Sure.
for that?
Our Safe Routes to School plan is a joint partnership between Pierce County and the 3 school districts in the urban unincorporated areas. So that would be Franklin Pierce, Bethel, and Puyallup school districts. And the plan is an attempt to recognize that Pierce County has the resources and the ability to apply for a lot of outside funding that is outside of the reach of the school districts themselves. So we act as a facilitator and apply for grant funding for the school districts and design and build projects. These projects are identified by the school districts themselves as their priorities, and we take that information and develop project scopes and cost estimates and apply for the grant funding. So if a school district does not identify a particular location or idea or intersection as a project and a priority, it's not in the Safe Routes to School plan. We do not presume to tell the school districts their business. So the projects that we are doing for Safe Routes to School, we have a number of them in a lot of different areas of the county. Unfortunately, none of them in this particular area. But they've all been identified by the school districts as priorities. We've been successful at getting some grants for some of them. Others, council has just said, hey, we think this is important enough. We're going to fund it with our own county road fund money. Great. We're moving forward with those as well. Bethel School District, I think by far has the largest number of projects, with Puyallup School District very close behind, and Franklin Pierce having the fewest, but they're all good projects. They all will improve walkability for school children, will eliminate some real safety hazards in particular locations, and will open up some opportunities for school kids to be walking to school in a safe environment.
Go ahead, Megan, you got your hand up.
Yeah, so how do we get, if we're interested in the school district taking a look at this area, like what do we need to do?
Well,
how do
you
we get that on their docket? I guess help me.
reach out to the school district. The school district superintendents are aware of this program, as are their capital improvement, capital facilities managers. And just have the conversation. Tell them you think this is a need. We
Okay.
approach them every year and ask for updates to their project lists. And those updates could be anything from different numbers of school kids walking in the area to completely different projects. Hey, we've got this new spot. We've got this new place that's a problem. We really need this to be on the list. It's a priority. And we'll put it in the plan, and then we'll start pursuing the funding for it.
And so the funding, like you said, can come from grants or it can come from the county, just depending
Yes.
on priority. Okay, well, I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know how we feel about it as a board, but that's something that maybe we should look to
Mhm.
talk to the school district about. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions about 64th and Waller, Swan Creek?
I wish I had more
Crossing.
information on that.
Yeah, that's fine. I figured between the two of us, Letticia, we could potentially
Mhm.
answer some questions. So I know, Dan, you've had quite a few in the past. I didn't know if you had any more for Letticia specifically. But you're on mute right now, Dan.
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, I can't see you because I lost the screen, whatever. Um, No, I just would like to find a way to improve 64th Street all the way to Waller Road and to certainly make it safe and accessible for pedestrian traffic and to solve the fish concerns of Swan Creek and so forth. We'll have to work on that. Can somebody help me out so I can get back online here? I can't see anybody. Gabe, do you know how to do this?
Yeah, are
you
you on a
close?
laptop or an iPad?
Yeah, I was like, did you
The
close the
laptop.
browser?
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
it all depends on how you're connected. I don't know how she has you set up there.
Oh,
But
I
there
just
should be
pushed the
some.
button.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
that's neat.
Sweet.
Whoa.
Dun dun dun. We're
Yeah.
back.
Have a Windows computer, you can press the Windows key and tab, and then you can look at all your different
Look at you, Sabrina, with the
windows
tech
will
help. I
open.
love it.
And I wanted
Okay.
to add that the city of Tacoma, when you mentioned, Marty indicated that the improvements are 3 to 4 years out. I don't know when that starts, but that's the extent to which he gave me, and there's no update since I believe the last time you talked about it.
You mean from Portland Avenue to Waller or Portland Avenue to the city boundary?
To the city limits, yes.
Yeah, okay, okay. But
Sabrina,
they're
It's the
currently
same as it was
getting
before. It's not, nothing's changed, right?
yeah, but they're currently getting ready for construction for McKinley to
McKinley, yes.
Portland. Yeah,
Yes.
I've seen the survey stakes out. It's starting.
It's beginning.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for Sabrina. It's probably not a good question, but I do have a question. Marty, of course, is running for county assessor, correct?
I'm sorry, my dog is barking. When,
Marty's running for county assessor.
oh,
Is there anybody,
sorry, can you hear me?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just gonna answer yes for now. My dog is just at the door.
I'll talk loud. Marty's running for county or Pierce County assessor treasurer. I'm just trying to find out if do they have somebody to replace Marty on the county council? Who might that be? That's something that we might want to find out. Are you back now?
Yeah, sorry, had to get the door.
That's okay.
My dog.
Does Marty or the council have any suggested replacements for Marty Campbell, should he be elected to the Pierce County Assessor's Office?
I don't believe they spoke about that since and not in any study sessions I'm aware, but having been here with other, I guess, people who have left when their term is not up, I believe that the party, whichever the council member belongs to, appoints or has a few that they select. And then the council appoints the new council member for the remainder of the term.
Okay.
So it's an
Okay.
appointment, and I'm not sure the rest of the details on that. In my role, that's all I know, but outside of that, that would be campaign related, which I'm not, on the campaign trail and don't have quite our answers for that.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Okay. Any final questions of Canyon Road or anything else road related for Letticia before we cut her loose? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Letticia, very much for
very
joining
welcome.
us. Really appreciate your time and look forward to seeing the PowerPoint presentation, and we'll let you know if we have any other questions.
Thank you for having me. Have a good
Okay.
evening.
Thank
you.
you. All right, let's move on to agenda item 4B, Canyon Rim Estates. Is there any updates you have for us, Dan, on Canyon Rim Estates?
Well, you've received the brief and the reply brief. The trial will be held later this month. I will notify you of the decision when it comes in, and we'll see what happens. I'll wear my shirt and tie and give it my best.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. Okay, moving on to item 4C, Lidford Field Lighting, which is on the corner of, remind me, Megan, the corner of 44th
60th Street.
and
Yeah, 44th to 60th
Yeah.
Street. Yeah.
44th and 60th.
It's across the street. It's right over there. Can't you see?
Looking out your bedroom window, there it is.
That's right. Right out there.
Yeah, it's right over there.
Yeah.
That's right. Do we have
I
any,
have,
do we have any updates on that? Sabrina, have you heard anything?
Got a report back from the parks director on, all the parks. I don't know how often we receive this, but this was February. It was after your last meeting. So I'm just gonna read it. Parks continues to regularly monitor the site and resolve issues. We have a request pending with Tacoma Public Utilities for the installation of the new pole and lights on existing poles. This is a new service request. They have assigned to a new service engineer. We check in our request monthly. However, we have not been given notice that they accepted the project and what the cost will be. This will add lighting to the roadway and parking area and deterrent. So it seems like there's still no update. And I'll send this in the chat for your notes.
thank you.
Thanks. I know it's not you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that update. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 4D, Waller Road Curve and Vickery Corridor Traffic Safety Issue Update. I don't know that I've heard anything, but I don't know if you, Sabrina, have any updates for us at all on any of those or either of those corridors.
So I believe in December I sent you all that there was a speed reduction study that was done, and the next step was an ordinance by council. So that would be submitted this year. So I submitted it on Monday on our traffic safety study list that we send to our staff members to review. So the speed reduction one was one of the items, and I don't remember what the other one was, but that's all the updates I have other than the extensive one that I sent to Jen last month.
Okay.
Let me just double check the.
Okay. Yeah, I think she shared that with us last meeting or 2 meetings ago. I think we have it on the agenda as an ongoing item if there's any updates to discuss. So okay, then we talked about item number 4E, which was 64th and Waller. Item 4F, which is Orange Gate Park and Pipeline Trail updates. I think we're just continuing to monitor ongoing construction, and
Yeah.
we Jen and I responded to one of our favorite constituents, Mr. Scott Bird, who is an avid advocate for equine use in Orange Gate Park. He was upset about how we kind of handled some of the comments on the Facebook page. Just so for those of you not on Facebook, there were we posted an update on the closures for the park because I guess too many people were entering the construction zone. So they basically kind of closed down the entire southern half of the park. And of course, High Point Equestrian that's their sole point of access. And they were really upset about that. And then there was some other just general residents in the area complaining about how our tax dollars are being spent and parks is wasting money and people get bulldozed and the county doesn't really care. They're just going to do their projects. That kind of general stuff. So Gabe and I and even Tiffany Odell from Parks was very nice and chimed in and kind of gave people some information and offered to answer questions. And I directed them to talk to Parks or to Councilmember Campbell if they had concerns or questions, because at this point in the game, Summit Waller Community Association cannot change the outcome of a construction project. It's really kind of moot for us to sit there and argue with the county. So I think, we basically kind of directed people, if you have any questions, go to the county, talk to them. And so Mr. Bird did not like that approach, thought it was very dismissive, and sent us an email and gave Jen and I an earful. So we responded to that, but thank you for putting the comments in the chat, Sabrina.
Sorry, I know you moved
Pipeline
on,
Trail.
but I'm a little slow on my laptop.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So for those of you not reading the chat, Dan, I'm sure you're not, John, the trail currently starts at the Tacoma Dome and continues to 72nd Waller. And construction has started to continue from that juncture approximately to the Orange Gate Park. And it says Orange Gate Park has been responding to some different challenges and complaints at that specific site. And we have the county has provided notification that the park is closed for construction and is working with the community groups and neighboring equestrian boarding facility on access and use post-construction. So while the contractor builds on the property north of 84th, Natural Lands crews will be reconstructing and labeling the passive trail system to accommodate walkers and horse riders. So sounds like we're trying to accommodate as much as county's trying to accommodate as much as they can during construction, but really trying to keep people out of the active construction zone. I see people in there all the time. When I drive by on 84th, I see people literally walking around the big excavators like on a Sunday. Like, yeah, even though it's posted, people are still in there. Any other questions or comments about all things Orange Gate Park or Pipeline Trail? Okay. Item 4G, Pierce County Comprehensive Plan. I don't have any updates. Letticia hit on some of the points that we had kind of talked about in our last meeting, kind of looking at the different alternatives. The public comment period closed on February 26th, and we did not submit a letter. I didn't hear any cries from the board to submit a letter. So, and I took a quick swing through some of the materials and really didn't see anything related directly to the rural separator. So I figured we probably, making some comments on this round of the comp plan updates wasn't super critical. So other than that, I don't have any other updates than what Letticia gave on the comp plan.
Thank you for keeping your eye on that, Angela.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. I think Letticia said the planning commission's next, so that'll be another round of opportunity for comment if people do decide to spend some time looking at the materials and have some comments. We could always attend one of their planning commission meetings or submit comments that way as well. So let me know. I'd be happy to help facilitate that.
And there will be amendments put forth, I believe, soon, spring to summer. And then fall comprehensive plan will come to the council. So you can also, come to council members if you understand their position, try to talk them out of it. Submit your comments to your council member, which is, me or Marty, and leave public comments on the amendment. So that's another way to do that on top of the group that meets to discuss it.
Great. Thank you, Sabrina. All right, well, moving on to item number 5A, Swan Creek Park. I know, Dan, you were in communication with Parks a couple of different times about this. Is there anything that's happened since our last meeting about Swan Creek?
Well, you folks all received the email of the letter I sent, I believe, did you not? Okay, there were a lot of attachments to the letter that's actually been sent out. That letter's been sent out to Pierce County Parks and Metro Parks. I'm going to be probably next week hand delivering it to the county council and also to the executive. And what I would like to do during our next meeting, when we're in person, I would like to give you the copies that have the actual exhibits. there's quite a few things in there. There's documents that go back 50 years, maybe. I mean, a lot of documents. And so I'd rather just hand deliver it to you and you can look at it and understand more about what's going on there. And there's been a lot of people involved with that property over the last half a century, a lot of expectations and a lot of work done on it. And I think that this group needs to at least understand the history of it. So I'll get that to you later. That's all I have on that.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you. Anything else about Swan Creek for the good of the order from anyone else? Okay. Moving on to our annual newsletter. Usually we send this out in April, and it's, like I said, it's practically 4th of July, so we're already behind. So does anyone, I think last year Gabe and Jen kind of pulled most of that together. Does anyone have any thoughts on this year's newsletter? Do we want to focus on anything in particular, any messaging, any featured articles, or do we want to have updates from like the Grange or school districts or anything? Okay, so Waller Road Grange update.
I mean, that'll fall to me to do, but sure, we'll do the Grange.
You get us the stuff from the Grange, we'll put it in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Who's gonna get stuff from the Grange? Me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, happy to do it. We've had a banner year. We've actually had a very banner year. So
Good.
Great. Yeah, so if you've got an update for that or a story or something you want to share, Grange update. We've got our, go ahead, Dan.
I think we need to address Orange Gate because of all the development going on there. I think Larry would be the one to handle that. We need to address Orange Gate. I think we need to also address Canyon Road. Those are the areas that the community is going to see. They're going to see Orange Gate, they're going to see Canyon Road, and of course, Range. We need to mention that also.
Yeah, the Pipeline Trail, Orange Gate Park are something I think the last 2 or 3 years we've included some sort of update on it. So it'd be good to continue that, I guess, the saga of Orange Gate Pipeline.
Yeah, I think in years past, we've really just said, oh, it continues, go to the website and check it out. And maybe this year we can maybe have Tiffany put together a short article, like an actual update for us. Because I think Jen said she invited Tiffany to the meeting itself and she was going to give an update on Orange Gate and Pipeline Trail because Brianne Blackburn is no longer at Parks. So Tiffany is now doing Pipeline Trail and Orange Gate Park, pulling double duty. So I'll reach out to Tiffany and see if she can't maybe give us a little bit more details for an actual article rather than just saying, yeah, go check it out on the website. So.
And I think that you might want to pull a stock previously published article on what is the rural separator, and then maybe draw people's attention to the website and to the Facebook page and to the Tom Ballard report, because there are people probably who will pick up the newspaper and Orange Gate and Canyon Road, and that stands out, but they may not know too much about the actual rural nature of the area and the rural separator. And I think it's really important to always get people their attention drawn to the website. I had a conversation today with a gentleman up near 80th and something on Waller Road. I'm sure you've seen his place. He raises pigs out there. About 80th something on Waller Road, on the east side of Waller Road. He had a bunch of dirt brought out there and he's filling it in. He raises livestock. Have you seen that place? Anyway, I called
his name's Ben.
Huh?
His name's Ben, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's what?
I think it's Ben.
Euler.
Yes, that's his name. Correct. I talked to him today, and I directed him to our website. I'm trying to get a hold of some garden dirt myself, and I guess his son is a member of our organization, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's what he said. But Yeah, I think they've been here for quite a while. They have a nice little farm. And I don't think they really knew about the website or the Facebook page. So I think it's important that our news article, maybe if you could pull out a previously published stock article on Orange Gate and reference to the Tom Ballard report. I think people need to see that.
On that same note,
Maybe-
Dan, because it's
Yeah.
on, this is on Waller, right? So
Mhm.
John is, since we can't just say, hey, we're going to stake these Summit Waller signs on property that people don't know about us, but John might be able to put one at the end of his property, just to see for people driving by. It says community information, summitwaller.org.
Yeah, I don't know him
yeah.
personally. I talked to a lot of people and I just happened to talk to him today. So
That's how I found this group, the association, was just because one of those signs were out.
is that right?
Yeah, that was the only reason I found you guys. So if we put something in more high traffic area like Waller, it would be good.
Are you talking about our little signs that we had
Yeah.
made? Okay, I still have a few of those left.
I have a
And I-
couple in I still have a couple. I just had a couple spares in case I needed them.
Yeah, I
Um,
think maybe this spring as we move into some warmer weather, I think maybe we should some spots to put those.
Yeah,
So I'm hearing maybe like a rural separator refresher article about kind of what it is, why it's important, why the Summit Waller Community Association focuses on it.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, and I think we need to write it to like a third grade level. Like, let me just
Okay,
put that out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
also
Reader
make
friendly,
it as a
reader-friendly.
teaser to get people, if they're more interested, to actually go to the website to read more.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But I also just
Oh,
think
heck
that
yeah.
like, and when I go out on the website and read that stuff, I'm like, oh, it's just, I mean, like, and I have a master's degree in communication and it's hard for me to read.
It is dry.
So,
The
you
report
know,
is dry. It's a report.
So dry.
Right. But I'm just saying, it's like, how do we convey this information to people so that they understand in a way, you know, that is meaningful to them as community members and that will engage them to continue reading on and care.
yeah,
Mhm.
right.
Just a
Okay.
thought.
Yep, maybe, so refresh on a rural separator article, I think would be good. In between the Grange update, the Orange Gate and Pipeline, Canyon Road, rural separator. We have posted our goals in the past, but we don't have to do that again this year. Is there anything else we want to focus on besides the usual updates like the Waller Road litter pickup and
The community center.
meetings and oh yeah, Mid-County
That's
Community
usually on there, yeah.
Center. Litter pickup,
Yeah, if Bonnie wants to put together a little blurb for us for the community center, we can put that on there too.
a link for people to pay their dues.
Heck,
Oh,
we
I
can
just
put a
had
QR code to it for those people that
Oh.
understand how QR codes work. Yeah.
Really? Oh, let's do a QR code. Heck yeah.
You got
Um,
Megan snorting over here.
I just think it's funny that you're like, oh, really? We could do a QR code? Yes, yes, you can.
it's not something we've done before, Megan.
I know, but those of us
What
that are
are you-
addicted
You're
to
talking
this
about
piece of
print media
technology,
sent
you
in
know?
the snail mail to people
Yeah.
who don't go online.
Yeah,
Yes.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
There are those. It takes all kinds.
Well, we are rural and we are aging.
Bite your tongue. I'm not aging.
The people prior to you moving in here.
I am, what's a CR code?
QR. Q.
QR
See,
code.
point made.
Oh my god.
Okay, you got it. Yeah, okay,
It's like a barcode.
got it.
It's a
You
fancy
That's that little
barcode.
square.
You
Yeah.
scan it with your phone. It's a square. Yeah.
Never used one.
Revolutionary.
Thanks for helping my point there, Don.
Okay, sorry.
Anything else we want to put in the news? Because I think the last couple of years we've done just like a two-sided 11 by 17, but I think it might be time for us to do something a little bit
I
more
wonder if
robust,
John,
especially if we have these.
yeah, I wonder if John Houston, the principal at Waller Road Elementary, would want to give us something. They're constantly asking for donations of things too, so it might be worthwhile to, you know, we could put that out there too.
Sorry, May, who were you talking
Well,
about?
John Houston, the principal at Waller Road
Oh,
Elementary.
okay.
You know, John.
okay. Yeah, I
Don't you
was
love
like, who
John?
is she talking about? But I'm like, all right, that's
John
cool, whatever.
Houston. Sorry.
Waller Road
Megan?
principal.
Yes,
Do your kids go to Waller Road?
yes. Well, one of them does, and the other one will start next year. So yes, I guess. Yes.
What grade?
Aiden is a third grader.
Is that right? Yeah, I
Yes.
went there myself first.
Yep.
One of my kids.
My little one is going to start kindergarten academy in the fall. So I will have 2 children at Waller Road Elementary starting.
Oh, boy.
They know me well. They know me well.
Is there anything else we want to put in the newsletter that we should start working on? Because remind me, Gabe, we should probably have everything, all of the quote articles kind of done by the end of March, right? And then we can start putting it together and getting it out.
Well, as soon as
by
possible, but I don't want to
April?
go right to the end of March just to get it out. Because there's some massaging we have to do after, formatting
Okay.
and layout. And I'm working with Jen,
Okay.
and so Jen doesn't have like the most up to tech knowledge on how to do all this. So it takes a little bit longer to get it done, is all. But
Sabrina-
she's actually she's working with at the school now, so she's got a little bit less time at her hand. So if we can get earlier than the end of the month, it'd be great.
Okay. Do you think Council Member Campbell would like to have a message in there? Maybe we could offer him a spot if he has like a message for Summit Waller residents.
Yes, there's an in-district that we will have, Marty will host in Mid-County at the Mid-County Community Center. Haven't set the date yet because we're still planning with PCTV, but April 24th is the tentative date, 6 p.m. And yeah, we'll be talking about senior centers and seniors in the community, the need. That's all we have on our agenda so far, other than usual business per usual. Usually we have a message from the executive and hearing from the community. So
Okay. Well, we'll reach out to Sabrina and to you and Councilmember Campbell if we think we can publish before April 24th. We could maybe use that as an opportunity to promote that in-district meeting. I think that would be good because it's in the same location as our annual meeting.
when is this newsletter due?
That's what we were just talking about. We usually send it out
Whenever we
last week
decide.
whenever we can get it done.
That's what I was saying, Gabe. I know you're trying to unmute me, but I was being snarky behind the mute.
We probably will have a day within the next week. I'm just really waiting on
Okay.
people to reply to me. So I did it for now, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, we have a couple weeks, so. Okay. Well, we'll get started on that. I will reach out to Tiffany for Orange Gate updates. Megan, you've got Waller Road, Grange. I'll
Do you
reach
want
out
me
to
to reach out to the school?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Megan for the school.
John
will
for
reach-
the adopter road for
John
both
for
the
the-
spring and fall.
Yep, which is actually the 5D on our
Yeah.
list here. We're almost there. I'll do the Canyon Road updates. I'll get with Letticia. I'll work with Larry on a rural separator article. Larry. And dues, you're the QR code guy, Gabe, and annual meeting info, and then council member. Okay. Great. Go team, break. All right, annual newsletter in progress. Okay, annual meeting is our next agenda item. We've got that set for the first Tuesday. Well, I guess I'm assuming we have it set for Tuesday, May 7th. And I don't know if Jen's reached out to Bunny or not to reserve the center, but I guess we'll find out here shortly. So mark your calendars. And does that date work for everyone? The first Tuesday, May 7th, it'd be basically the same date as our usual monthly meeting.
Were we going to meet a week or two before that to plan that out, just finalize things?
We have, yeah, we have done that before. So maybe be thinking of setting aside some time the week before to meet, just to make sure we've got everything in place.
We can do most of the coordinating by email, of course, but
I think most of it, yeah.
now, Larry's not here, but I think someone actually snatched one of the sandwich board signs that we put out last time. So I think he's one down. I don't know if we have
Uh-oh.
enough with that, but he said
Mm.
one of them disappeared.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Well, and we did think about making like a large corrugated plastic sign that we could maybe put on the fence at Central Avenue, like the day of. This is very simply says our community association meeting tonight, 7 p.m. or first Tuesday of May, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Something we could reuse every year.
If the school
I'll
will let
put
us,
that back
right?
on my list of things to do. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. We have to ask the school if we can just have it up there for a day or two.
Or
I
attach
hope
it
it doesn't get
somehow
stolen.
to the community center sign, which is not the school's property. Oh, I think Angela locked up on us.
I have oh no, really? Here.
Hey, you froze for
I've
quite
been
a while.
Yeah, I've been having internet connection problems pretty much all day long. So, that leads us to Adopt a Road. John, have you thought about Adopt a Road dates for spring and fall?
I don't have a calendar with me, but let's see, we do one in June and we do one in September, right?
Usually I think it's May and September.
May and September. So why don't we just pick dates here? I'm not looking at a calendar, but yeah, let's just.
Well,
Who has
so I've got one open. So May 11th is the second Saturday of the month, and then there's May 18th, which is the third Saturday of the month. And then after that, you're basically Memorial Day weekend. So I think the 11th and 12th is Mother's Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Okay,
Yeah.
so we'd probably want to shoot for May 18th, which is not Mother's Day and not Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
And we could also advertise for that at our annual meeting too. Like we could get the word out. Otherwise, I mean, on the Facebook page too, but we could do it live and in person.
Yes, we could have Sue come and do another interactive commercial for the roadside Adopt a Road litter pickup, John.
She's my substitute, so
Yeah.
she did it right here.
Yeah, even if you're there, we want her cheerleading for the Adopt a Road.
Yeah, we
She did
want
a
to
good job
have
for
her
it last
like
year.
give us
Yeah.
an A.
So yeah, let's do, and so let's pick a September date,
Okay.
sometime after, of course. Pick a September date, sometime after Labor Day.
Yep. So Labor Day is early this year. It's September 2nd. The following Saturday is the 7th. And then you have the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. So you've got basically 4 weekends that follow Labor Day that we can pick from.
Yeah, typically people will take the week off and go vacationing the week of Labor Day week because it's a short week. So the 7th might not be the best idea. So
Yeah.
maybe 14th or the 21st.
Okay.
Let's 14th, unless somebody has a better idea, because the farther we get, the worse the weather might be.
Yeah, agreed. September 14th. All right. Okay.
We just
Getting
lost
it.
Dan too, so we don't need to vote on
Oh.
anything. So we're good.
Okay. Excellent. Well, that's good. I'm glad
We
we
don't have a
got
quorum
that.
anymore. So yeah.
Okay.
I've got a
Don?
question. I got a question for John. Remind me when all this roadside litter is collected, who disposes of it and how does that operation go?
Yeah, what we do is it all gets collected generally in front of my driveway. And then come Monday or at the latest Tuesday, the county comes by and picks it all up.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
And I got to get bedtime going for the boys, so I don't know if there's anything else on the agenda at this point we need to talk about.
No, that's it for the agenda, guys. So
move to adjourn.
the next meeting we have is in April, and we're in person in April, right?
Right.
We're in person, not Zoom. Like the agenda said Zoom, but we are in person
Got it.
in April.
And Don?
Dawn.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. There was some conversation about the sign at the Mid-County Community Club a month or so ago about.
Bye, Megan. Good night.
It was 2 months ago. That
Oh,
was not me
I thought
saying
you were.
goodnight.
I thought you were saying peace out.
Peace out, people. I'm
Sorry.
informal. I'm not that informal.
Anyway, I've been looking at that sign and it's really in pretty good shape. Seeing it is a county facility, has anybody thought about it? Could we inquire about getting the county to relocate it closer to the corner? Because there's really nothing wrong with that sign and it doesn't need to be lit up. It needs to have a little bit of more street presence.
New coat of paint too, but yeah.
Well, not just on the poles, but the sign itself looks pretty good shape.
Yeah, it just disappears in the winter. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't see it sitting back about 12 feet if it was moved out, and it's just something to think about throwing it out. That's all.
Okay. Well, we'll have to coordinate with Don Brunson and see, because I don't think the sign itself it's not on county property, it's on school property, even though the Mid-County Community Center is technically county property, but not the sign.
It might be grandfathered in from a deal or
there might
variance,
be some sort of like handshake agreement or something somewhere. Yeah.
If you try to move it, they'll say, nope, take it down or no. We don't know. You know, sometimes you see that happen. And okay, before Megan leaves, can we adjourn? Because I just have a quick little like meeting point of order, but not actually recordable, boring the community stuff. It's just about the board meeting stuff. Yeah.
I second gave adjournment.
Okay. All those in favor of adjournment? Aye. We'll assume your hand.
I saw
There's
John's
John's
hand. There he
Thank
goes.
you, John.
Thanks.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right.